The following is a presentation of the Tragically Hip podcast series.
Okay, we are officially into uncharted waters. We never do third ones. So let's see what happens.
Yer Hipstories, reflections from the final tour.
Hey, it's JD here, and welcome back to Yer Hipstories, reflections from the final tour. Tonight, it is August 8th, 2026, but we are going backwards in time, one decade, to reflect upon the London show of the Man Machine Poem Tour. I was trying to remember what number this would be, but I've forgotten. So London it is. It was a fantastic set list. It looks like it was really great. We've got three people around the table that were there in the flesh. They're going to tell us all about their experiences. We're going to start with my friend Dave in St. Louis. Dave, how are you doing tonight? Whoop, you stayed on mute.
Go. There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, yeah, it's great to see you guys. Yes, thank you for having me on for this. I've been looking forward to sharing my story, especially being from the U.S. and in the middle of America, and how, we made our way to London for this most epic of shows of all time, for sure.
Oh, awesome. We've also got Dan from Buffalo. Dan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. I was at the London show. I was also at Hamilton and at Kingston, Ontario. So I was at three of the shows. And there's a moment I wonder if you all saw or heard at the London show, but I'll wait till we get going into it that this is the moment for me that stood out. But
I love the tease. I love the tease. In the world of podcasts, that is gold. That is gold, Dan from Buffalo. Wade from London, the hometown of the concert. Wade, how are you doing tonight on this hip-tastic day?
JD, I'm very well. Hip compadres, Dan and Dave. Nice to meet you. Looking forward to the conversation tonight. Thinking about this podcast a bit today. Brought back a lot of the feels of August 8th, 2016 and the lead up to the concert. So I'm super pumped to discuss this with the three of you and look forward to the next hour or so.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Wade, we're going to start with you with our first question. And that question is this: what is a song that you hear now that takes you back 10 years ago to August 8th, 2016, to that fateful night in London? What's a song that you hear in everyday life now that takes you right back there, and why?
It's a good question. There's many, but one that absolutely makes me think of that show every single time I hear it is the opener, and that's Opiated. I've been to over 40 hip shows, and I don't know if I've ever seen or heard Opiated as the opener. And it's one of my favorites off of Up to Here. It might be my favorite. And when I heard the song, thinking about how it opened, and I heard the song, I was like, holy shit, they're starting with Opiated. This is insane. And I just wanted to hear that first line, right? I wanted to see and hear Gord's energy. I wanted to see how the band was ready to rock and put on a show for us. Everything was still so surreal, right? Of the whole lead up to it and the day of leading into the arena. Dan, Dave, you can probably both speak on the emotion of getting through those doors. But when the lights came out and the band came on and Opiated was the first song, every time I hear it now, I get chills of August 8th and Bud Gardens. That's what brings me back every time.
Very cool. Very cool that they opened with Opiated, for sure. Dave from St. Louis, how about you? Same question.
The song from that night that really sticks out to me, and of course it's the one line, is Scared, where it's been a pleasure doing business with you. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was of many profound moments of that night, that was the one where I was like, oh my God, just absolutely slay me, so for that particular night, absolutely Scared was the song that stuck out the most to me, and that line in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, that hits hard. Totally. Dan? What's a song that you hear now that takes you back?
Well, I was gonna say, Dave, I agree with that moment because I was there at that moment. For me, but that could be a 9, a 10 for me. And you guys didn't say it, was It Can't Be Nashville Every Night. And when Gory goes, I'll die before I quit. And then everyone cheered at that line.
Yeah.
And that was the one that acknowledged it. And that was, for me, that was the line of the night, because everyone was like, whoa, here we are. And he said it, I'll die before I quit. And everyone cheered. It was like, that was like, whoa, that's the chills right there.
Arm hair on ends.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. That's
totally remember that, Dan.
Yeah.
There were so many memories that night, but
Right.
like when you just said that, not only the hair on the arms feeling, but I was like, oh yeah, I recall that very vividly now that you say that.
I'd forgotten that myself, but yeah, when you said it, it's like, oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, amongst many profound moments of that night.
Scared, and then for me, after that, Scared, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. Yeah. Then everyone was cheering again. So for me, those two moments in that show, that was the London show for me right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I was there. All right. Let's start at the start, fellas. Dan, we'll start with you.
Okay.
When did you hear the news of Gord's ailment and the tour? And was this like sort of I'm there?
Oh yeah. My cousin Sharon, she's a hip fan too in Buffalo. So yeah, she sent me the original thing about Gord's brain cancer, and so then soon after, it was probably right after, then they announced the tour, and so then you just look down the dates, and there's even a Buffalo News music critic, Jeff Myers. And even he wrote like an op-ed piece, and he's like, this is great, guys, but can't you give me a Buffalo show? Which is for me, the Buffalo show is so Canadian. Maybe Buffalo and Detroit, but Buffalo seems to be like the number one U.S. stop. And
the province.
And I didn't know if there was like, to get across the border would be a problem. They didn't want to go through any hassle. I don't know why, but Buffalo should have been the one stop they added in the U.S. But then we're starting to look down the list. You're like, okay, London's 3 hours away, and Hamilton, and then there's Toronto. So then you start to look at, okay, it's going to be London, Hamilton, Toronto. My brother got the London tickets, and then I'm like, okay, we got London. At least we get one in. And so then that was like, okay, we're locked into London, which is good. And then the other, we'll see what we can do down the road. But that's for me, like, okay, London was good. Then we got Hamilton tickets. It's like, okay, here we go. But London, yeah, that's what starts. I'm like, okay, at least we got something.
How did you get your tickets? Was it really straightforward, or do you have a ticket tail?
I have a ticket tail for Kingston. For London, my brother, he got 3 tickets. I went to my first hip show with him in Buffalo at the Odd, where the Buffalo Sabres played. So that's how. So it was the Grace. It was the Day for Night tour '95. So that's my first show, and he was with me. So it was great that the last tour, me and my brother Matt went to all 3 shows that I went to. So that was good.
That's pretty special.
Hamilton, if you want, I don't know if you want the ticket stories for the other ones, or just London.
No, just London.
Just London.
We're going to focus. We're going to focus and give all the credit that London is due. Just wait until we take a look at this set list, folks.
Thankfully, London was the easiest. Thankfully, London was the easiest of the 3 to get tickets for. So,
Wade, how about you? Where were you, and what do you remember about hearing the news and finding out about the tour, and do you have a ticket tail?
Like Dan, not as much a ticket tail for London, but definitely for Kingston. But we'll do that another time. Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing the news, and with Gord's diagnosis, and it was crushing to hear that. Obviously, you really didn't know what it meant. Everyone was kind of confused. I'm texting my buddies, and did you guys hear? And this is crazy. We're all kind of having a real somber moment, and then all of a sudden you hear that they're going to get this tour in place and they're going to do it, and then you kind of got this energy about you to just okay, not missing it. I don't care what I got to do. I'm getting the ticket.
Right.
Again, whether it's London or Kingston or anywhere in between, I was getting a ticket, and luckily, London was fairly easy. I mean, I was like any other major hip fan. I was on the computer, on the phone, trying to get in the queue, do the whole thing. But I did end up getting a couple tickets for London, which was great. We were off to the right of the stage, had a perfect view for it. But yeah, that's no crazy. I wish I had a better story for my ticket tail for you, JD. But cool. It's I was just fortunate. It was cool that unfortunately, like Dan mentions, I wish Buffalo would have been in there. I think Detroit probably would have loved to get a stop in there too, in terms of outside of Canada. But it was cool that I got to see them in my backyard, right? I'm from London. I didn't have to travel, but I was thinking about this today too. Part of the piece about going to a hip show, isn't it the road trip, right? It's part of that is the lead up to whether it's Molson Park or wherever. It's that lead up of getting in the car, cranking the tunes, talking stories, tailgating, the whole nine yards. I didn't have to do any of that, where Dave and Dan clearly did. So that would be cool to hear the story about how you got to London. But also from being in London, I was able to bring my family and friends who had tickets to my not my hometown, to my now place town, for the day. So I had friends and family. I'm from near Windsor and Leamington. So halfway between Detroit and Toronto is London. We have a shirt that says that, made in London here. Halfway between Detroit and Toronto. So a group of my buddies came up from Leamington, and my brother was able to make it. He's the one that got me into the hip back in the 90s. So it was so great to be able to have them arrive, spend the day drinking, reminiscing about previous concerts, and then making our way to Budweiser Gardens for the show together. It was it was something.
Beautiful. Dave, I'm curious for you, essentially the same question. You hearing about the story, or you getting the news, I don't know how you got it. You can share that with us. Sure. What you were thinking and feeling, and the story of how you got your ticket.
Well, unlike our two compadres here, I do have a pretty good story here. So I will try to truncate it as best as I can without getting too long-winded. But it goes like this. So yes, on the 24th of May, I got the news just like everybody else in my Facebook feed that Gord was sick. They were going to do this tour. I was like, okay, I've got to go to at least one of these shows somewhere. London was the closest to me as far as a driving destination went. So I tried, to get tickets online, couldn't get them. I'd even tried for other shows, thinking, okay, if I can get to Kingston or Toronto or whatever, I had I had to go to this because they're one of my favorite bands, and this is going to be the last time we're going to see them. So I failed at all the Ticketmaster thing, avenues. So then on the Tragically Hip fan forum on Facebook, there was a guy, I just posted on there, hey, just like everybody else, I'm looking for a ticket to London. If you could hook me up, that'd be great. So a guy from Ohio, got a shout out to Jim Sylvester. He reached out to me. He said, look, there was a snafu with StubHub, and I have 2 extra tickets to the London show. And I'm like, brother, I'm on it, you know? And so that's how I got those tickets. Okay. So they were, you know, and the tickets were like in the upper part of the bowl there at Budweiser Gardens. But I got to continue the story real quick, so that in leading up to the show, I had to, like a week before the show, I had hernia surgery. Like, you know, and I was like in a lot of pain and still in the early part of recovery from that. And we made and then before we came up, I made a call to Budweiser Gardens. I said, hey, when we get up there, you know, we're making a journey from St. Louis all the way to London. If you could just give me and my girlfriend at the time, her name was Jeannie, if you could just give us a wheelchair to get us up to, you know, the seats where we're going to, that'd be great. And they're like, okay, when you get here, check in with guest relations and we'll hook you up. Okay, great. So we make the trip up there. It's like a 13-hour trip from St. Louis to London. You know, we check in, blah, blah. The next day, show day, we go to the show, we check in. I give them my tickets. They're like, okay, here, and we're going to exchange them. They give me penalty box seats, like a 15 rows from the stage on the left side. I mean, and like we were in the penalty box by ourselves for the entire show. And they gave me a wheelchair escort from the ushers down there. I mean, it was the most freaking Canadian thing you could ever think of.
Wow.
I mean, they just treated me like royalty, you know, and it was amazing. And I mean, we got to sit there, me and my girlfriend, and I mean, we got to be there for this last show, and it was, yeah. So that's how I got the tickets, and I had to at least get us to the door, because, you know, where we started out at, it wasn't where we ended up at. So that's how we, yeah.
Dude, I've heard that story before, and it still blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, it is. It still blows my mind, dude. I can't believe that it happened to me. You know,
That's amazing.
Nice.
Well, let's go back to something Wade was talking about earlier, and that is the day of August 8th. Take me through, Dan. Take me through what that day looked like leading up to, you know, outside the arena. What was the vibe? What was the vibe?
Yeah. See, I forgot, you know, at that time I lived in Chicago, and we have a family reunion the first Saturday of August every year. So when we saw the tour, London lined up, and like, ooh, I could stay here for a couple extra days, and then we can get in London. So that was for me. I traveled from Chicago to Buffalo, and then hung out here. And then we knew once we got the tickets, which were just within that week, then we could go. So it was just three of us. If you know, as we talk about going on tour, going on the road trips, when you go on road trips, you bring different people. Sometimes you only see friends when you go to hip shows or something like that. So yeah, my brother brought a friend who maybe they just listened to the hip or something. I've never seen this guy before or since. And so it was us three. Yeah, we drove to London, and we went some restaurant next door, and everybody's hanging out just at a bar. And no grace. Kingston for me is the bigger story, of course, that we wanted. So London, yeah, straightforward. We left from Buffalo. It's an easy, 2-hour, 3-hour trip. So there's no staying overnight. We drove there and back in the same night. So I didn't stay in any great hotel there. Just a normal, good road trip. You're there. Everyone's anticipating. As my friend we were talking about, it's like you're about to go see a living wake. And, the person's alive, but we're going to see this living wake. And that was sort of the vibe beforehand. Yep. And so then you're sort of, I don't know if you're somber. What are we going to see? And then, they kick out with music. And you're just like, okay, wait, we're seeing a hip show here. Everybody's okay. He's dressed up. He's got the purple glittery suit, the silver glittery suit. He had the whole ensemble made for that tour. So you're like, okay, wait, he's being flamboyant. We're good. We're seeing normal hip. We're good. Although we're only going to see, there's only 6 shows left or whatever there are. So you're trying to enjoy it. And my big thing too, at every single concert is talkers, people who talk. And I'm like, so luckily for me, we were at the back bowl. So wherever we were you were next to the stage. We were at the very back. Totally fine by me. We were like the last row in the bowl. It was great. I was like, please no talkers. Please. And there was no talkers for me. After I was talking to my brother, I'm like, oh, wasn't that great? It's like some people, so there were some people talking in front of them. I'm like, why would you talk during a hip show? Like, you only got 5 or 6 left. Why would you talk and have a conversation about work or something during a thing?
Doesn't make any sense at all.
No, at any show, don't talk, especially those. So, but yeah, that was the vibe. So we went there. You didn't know what you were going to see, but you're all still at the bar having a good time. And you get in there once the music hit, you're like, okay, we're good.
Oh, nice. I love that they had the countdown clock as well.
Yes.
So you're sitting in there and it just builds that anticipation even more. And I
I
know
remember
this is show number 11, or pardon me, 9. But there's still that like, oh my gosh, is he going to be all right? He just took an extra day off. Or is he going to be more invigorated? Is he not? All that stuff, just building the anticipation. And Dan's got something he wants to add.
That countdown clock too. So that I remember be like 5 minutes. This is Rob from the hip. Be in your seat in 5 minutes. So that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I just
fucking
let me just
badass.
interject something real quick here to JD. I was watching, from here, I was watching all the different clips on Facebook and whatever of all the shows leading up to London. And it was very evident Gord was in the zone. And so by the time, at least in my eyes, by the time they got to London, I wasn't like, oh, is he going to make it? Is he not going to? I was like, oh, he's like really hitting on all cylinders right now. And I can't wait to see what happens. And so to me, I wasn't antsy about it all. I was like excited. Yeah, I was anticipating him being on just at it big time.
It's funny you say that, Dave, because like as I mentioned earlier, like that first song, Opiated, in the first line, because of the day off, I was like, well, how is he going to come out? Almost like a team that's been too rested, right? They come out sluggish and they get scored on the first 30 seconds. It was like, is Gord coming out and is he going to grind it in the corners and is he going to be full energy? And all it took was that first line to, I need 2 fifths of lead-free gasoline. And as soon as he said gasoline, the crowd just kind of, you felt the energy.
Captivated.
Yep. And
100%. 100%.
You knew right after that they were good. They were going to make it, and it was going to be a great show.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Dave, for you in the penalty box, taking the time out there, what was there a moment the night of or leading into the arena that is memorable to you at all? I mean, other than getting the jackpot?
Well, yes, of course, the jackpot. And I would say, like, before we went in, the mood was celebratory. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, there was like, from what I remember, there's like a little bit of a plaza, kind of not too, right outside the venue there. There was a hip tribute band playing. I remember them, and they were really good. And I just remember it being a really upbeat kind of thing. And then we talked to some, folks from London there as well, while we were waiting to get in, and, had a good time. It was just, everybody was, really in a good mood to go. And of course, then once we got in, the jackpot thing, that took place. But then, like you guys were talking about the countdown, and then Rob, I mean, the whole thing was it was electric. It was absolutely electric, before and of course during the show. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that, Dave, about the outside Bud Gardens and that little, I don't even know, like atrium style entrance or whatever you want to call it. I remember that being really upbeat, it was cool to see everyone in a smiley mood, like they hit the jackpot, getting the ticket, and they couldn't wait to get inside the door. And the same, we felt the exact same way. We were at a patio having dinner and drinks before we went a couple blocks away. And most people that were in that patio were, I think, attending the show as well. They had the hip on the audio, on the speakers, and you could see people were excited for what was going to happen that night, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That
It's
is
electric.
that is so cool that, there was this anticipation and this celebratory, this celebration vibe. There was still the hip, hip, hip chants, I'm sure, like leading into the arena. It wasn't a somber group by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Dan, is there a moment in the show that, and it doesn't have to be a song or a lyric, but is there a moment in the show that really stands out for you?
Like I said, for It Can't Be Nashville Every Night, Scared. Yeah. Those are the two that hit me. That how many, you can't remember every single song ever, or the ones that pop like, oh, let me pocket that forever. That's in there.
Right.
Because especially when he said, I'll die before I quit. Like there's a beat before he hits the next line. So it's like enough pause where everybody could just react. And that's what was so cool about it, because I'll die before I quit. And then as he's about to do that, everyone like caught on and said it. And then he caught on that he said that. And then it was like, hey, whoa, wait, yeah, that's happening, but don't worry about it. And we're good. And like, I he will die before he quits. So, it's pretty cool. That's what, for me, that's the big thing that sticks out for me is those. And there was, I forget if it was that show or not, where the last of the Unplugged Gems, and they go into that, like this halftime with the thunder and lightning screen. And I don't know if they did it for that cool. one. Yeah, where they went into it. It was like an elongated version. It was there or Hamilton, but it might have been London. And it was like this elongated last of the Unplugged Gems. And it was like, whoa, wait a second. This is super cool. And if it was that show, because I've only went to 3, so it might have been the London show. I didn't look at the set list. I didn't like prep for this. I'm just trying to go off memory.
No, that's cool. We'll take a look at the set list. We'll, in the second half of the show, we'll take a deep dive into the set list.
But it was there or Hampton where they did the last of the Unplugged Gems, and it was this longer thing because they were going into this halftime thing, and that was really cool too.
What did you guys think of the fact that they started out, and Gord Sinclair just talked about this the other day, how they started out tight and compact on the stage, in a small group, and then they expanded outwards after the first intermission, they came out. And Sinclair was talking about how it is something, Mr. Sinclair was talking about that it was representative of their growth, starting out small on a small stage and then getting to play arenas, and they could have played stadiums in this country for sure. I'm convinced of that. But alas, we'll never know. Wade, any moments that jump out at you? Like key moments in the evening?
Key moments. Geez, there's so many. That break that you were talking about, Dan, came after, I think, Machine, right? And then
Yes.
I think it was after Machine.
Okay, right. Yes.
What a wild song to have that mixed with, because Machine is hands down my favorite on that album, and they did it in Kingston too, where the thunder and the lightning with Machine. It gives me chills when I hear that. But I think that was when it happened in London. But for me, like, I don't know, like I can't pinpoint one moment, to be honest. I think
that's cool.
I think overall, I will say this: like, we're all pumping the tires. We love the hip, we love Gord, we love all the guys in the band. I will say this set list for me, not at the top of my list for concerts I've been to. I love every song. Like, you can't really disappoint. But when you compare set list to shows you've been at, I would say they missed. It's unfortunate to miss a couple songs, especially knowing it was going to be the last one. You were hoping to hear maybe that one song or something, and it didn't happen. But it's impossible to play them all. Mind you, all the songs were phenomenal. I love how they did the 4 songs per album kind of
Really
deal. I thought
cool,
that was super creative. But I do remember it was in the first encore when they played Pigeon Camera. And I don't know why the slow songs always got me as I got more shows underneath my belt with the hip, but the slower tunes always meant and hit a little harder to me. And Pigeon Camera, I remember looking over at my wife and just kind of I don't know, was it dust in the air, like my eyes were a little bit watery. I don't know why, but yeah, it definitely, there was a moment where I was like, shit, it's coming to this concert's coming to an end. And the Pigeon Camera, like just that tune, like it was like a movie for me at that moment. And I was like, we're nearing the end here, folks. And I started getting like those feelings. And so I would say that moment, while I enjoyed the first, however many songs before Pigeon Camera, I had a little bit of a somber moment, and I didn't want to have it. I wanted to celebrate it. But it made me a little sad. But I mean, in the end, when you're walking away from the arena after, and you're with your buddies and your family, and you're talking about the whole night, it was wild. But that was the moment where, to take a different turn, JD, like I wasn't like, oh, here's that song. I was like, fuck, like I got to take this one in. This one is hitting a little heavier than it normally would. I don't know, JD, if you're going to talk about the arena or not, but like it's been touted as one of the best arenas to see some band. Like London, for whatever reason, when they built the Budweiser Gardens, because it used to be the Ice House down at the 401, and it was this shitty old barn where the London Knights played hockey, and there were some classic concerts there. I think Rush may have been there even. But when they built this stadium in the core, in the heart of our city, it almost didn't happen. Like there were politicians not wanting to put money into it, right? It was one of those like, oh, this costs too much for the taxpayer dollar. If that thing didn't happen, like we would have missed out on so many great performances, and we still get them to today. We get all the big sporting events, we get the music, and it was built for sound too, right? So like every concert there is amazing. It's only 9,000 people. So it's like still intimate. It's not like a ACC or Scotiabank or Skydome or like that type of thing. But we still get really decent acts, and the hip being there is like, it was awesome. The sound was amazing. You don't have a bad seat is what I'm getting at. Like Dan, you said you're at the very back by the bar. That
was good.
Saw Pearl Jam there and at the bar. We didn't want to go to a seat because it was like you're far enough away where you get to still see everything, and it sounds perfect. Like it's such a cool stadium. We're very fortunate here in London to have it.
Yeah. I like those more intimate venues. Like, I like a big rock show in a big hockey arena at 20,000 people. But I mean, if you can get it down to 10, 9,000 like there, even better.
Yeah,
even better.
For sure.
Yep.
It was just so nice when you look at all the cities that, we talked about Detroit and Buffalo earlier, but Montreal didn't get a show. Quebec City didn't get a show. Somewhere in Northern Ontario could have got a show. Halifax could have got a show. Now, obviously, when they were planning the tour, they didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So they made the tour, I think, like they picked some great cities, and they gave people opportunities to do some road tripping, and good things were happening. Yeah, I want to hear about the experience of you, the end of the show, and leaving, and the vibe and the mood. But we'll do that as well as a deep dive into the set list right after we take a quick break. Mm-hmm. Fellas, do you want to take a look into the set list now?
Sure.
Let's bring it up. So there is London from August 8th, 2016, the set list. We can see how it's broken out into Up to Here, then Man Machine Poem, and then your deep cut was In Between Evolution. You got some great songs from Day for Night. My goodness, you got Phantom Power as well, and Fully, and Road Apples. Yeah, great. That is, that is great. What do you guys think? Who cares what I think, though? You were there and you heard it. Wade, you made reference earlier that maybe this wasn't, maybe there was some songs missing. What would you have swapped out?
I almost want to, after I just take a look at it on screen here, I almost want to retract my statement. But at the same time, seeing over 40 shows, like you get a good mix of sound from them and great tunes. But Dan and Dave, one glaring omission here, right? That's actually on this list that didn't happen. Little Bones did not happen.
Yeah.
And
do you recall why?
I would love for you to expand on for sure. When I look at this set, though, like that, when I talk about missing songs, JD, like that would have been one of them. And because it's a cult classic of the hip, I know my family and friends that came up were really hoping to hear that song. So actually, it digs a little deeper when you see it on the list and it never actually happened.
No, that's what I was just going to say. That
right?
must sting even more.
Yeah. So like that I would say was one for sure. Because again, when I look at this list, it's kind of like, and I'm sure every hip fan is the same way. Mm-hmm. My interests change probably daily depending on what kind of mood I'm in. I'll spend a whole day listening to one album and then the next week I'm completely off it and go into something different. I was really hoping to hear the Depression Suite. I've picked all the slow tunes, but that one, like the lyrics and the whole front to back of the way that song plays out is just so theatrical in my mind, and I love it so much. So I was hoping to hear something from We Are the Same, and I didn't. It wasn't there, but again, you can't get everything. But yeah, I'll let
Happy
you ask
Nashville every night, Wade.
That's true. Exactly.
That's right.
I'll let Dan and Dave expand on that, JD, if you want. But like again, Little Bones was one omission that I really wish they could have. They really wish they could have finished on, because that was a definite closer for decades.
Well, you saw as this tour went on that they were like, oh, it's 4 from each album. So like you had to have a tour or a stop where they had to put a whole album in there. So In Between Evolution, I think this was the only show that they did In Between Evolution. And I'm not sure. I think that might be the case. Maybe there's 1 or 2. But the other thing for the, which you don't think about every time you go to see the hip, it's pretty much cool when you can see, hey, I saw every single song perform live off this album. Eventually, right? So they eventually, okay, I got to see, the Luxury, and then I got all of that. So for me, we didn't get to see Man Machine Poem, so now I got 4 songs. So like, okay, if I go to another show, I hope I get a different 4 songs. So there was a couple that they didn't play, like throughout the whole tour. They always played What Blue, which is a beautiful song. Ocean Next, Possessed, Man Machine. Though they played those and they swapped out 1 or 2. So
Sarnia, they played
in Sarnia.
In Sarnia.
If this was my Hamilton, if this was the Hamilton show, In Sarnia and Grace 2 are the 2 songs that stuck out for me in that show. In Sarnia was so good in the Hamilton show. But for here, we finally got to see What Blue. So even there, like, okay, great. That's the song I love from that album. So I got to see What Blue, which is good. So then you get to see that new album. Then I don't think I knew at the point that they were doing 4. I don't know if I figured it out before the show or after that they were doing 4 per album. So we got to see. So then they're doing In Between Evolution, and maybe you hope. Oh, I hope they're. I tweeted on Twitter or whatever. At Paul Langlois himself, and he did respond to me. I go during. Cool. I go, yeah, it's really cool. I go, hey, during this whole tour, for me, it would have Kingston. For me, Hamilton was actually better than Kingston. I go, Kingston would have been put over the top if they did the very first album and even gotten Highway Girl. Like if you just came out in like the third encore and just played Highway Girl and that's it. Okay, we finally got to see a very first EP. And so I asked Paul Langlois, I go, how come you didn't do that in any of the tour? And they go, there was sort of like, I don't want to say bad blood. I forget the word he used. Like, yeah, when we were recording it, we just didn't like the feelings of those songs for the whole band. Like there's not good feelings with those songs, I guess. So like it's like sort of they just leave it behind, I guess. That was their deal. So I was hoping they're going to pull that one album out and do just even 4 songs, even 2 songs at some point in the tour, and they never did. So yeah, here we got In Between Evolution, and I don't think many. There's only 1 or 2 stops that got In Between Evolution. So as a whole, when you see
2.
Okay, yeah, and when you see
2.
when you see 2 or 3 shows, then okay, good. I got to see that, and then you get to see In
That's
Violet
right.
Light. You get to see In Violet Light in a different one, and so that's how you sort of piece it together. So
Got
as
the
a
bingo
whole,
card going.
yeah, that's what it is for me. And so for that, if you think about it now, no one saw any of the new songs yet, so that was our first time to see those 4 songs from the new album.
You know, I got to tell you, there was a show that we did. I'm not sure if it's the previous one or if it was Calgary 2, but they didn't get Day for Night. So you guys got Day for Night fully, completely, and Phantom Power, which are the triumvirate of hip records in terms of commercial success and, you know, fans choosing as their favorite records, quite frankly. So, you know, that's my 2 cents. I think you got a hell of a show. Dave, do you have any insight on this Little Bones thing?
Yeah. So before the Little Bones thing, I just want to say, you know, we got in between Evolution. Leading up to this, it had become apparent that there was a pattern going on, and that there was going to, in the middle set, there was going to be some rare album, or like you guys just touched on, they only were going to do once or twice during the tour. I was hoping for Music at Work segment. That's what because I really love Lake Fever, and I was hoping for some other songs from that. But I mean, with that said, Summer's Killing Us and New Orleans is Beat. Are you kidding me? 2 of my favorite songs.
New Orleans Beat is like my fave. Yeah.
Oh, I know. But now in the Little Bones thing, what I heard, and this happened, like I heard about it just a day or 2 after the show, was they were supposed to do Little Bones after Fiddler's Green, but if you guys remember, Johnny Faye didn't even play on Fiddler's Green because apparently he was suffering from dehydration or some sort of exhaustion thing there near the end of the show. And they kind of, okay, well, yeah, we need to make sure he's okay. So that's why Fiddler's Green didn't have Johnny Faye. You know, not that there's a whole lot of percussion on that show, on that song anyway, but and then they didn't finish with Bones, as you know, Wade pointed out that he wished he would have been there, but they didn't play it because they didn't have Johnny. So that's what I heard, and I don't know if that can be verified, but that's what I heard back then.
I am sure there are going to be people watching this that know firsthand whether that will hold water or not, Dave. It sounds totally plausible to me. I'm just going by what I read online the next day, and that there was some just sort of, and not that it was a big health thing, but they just wanted to make sure. I mean, of course, with Gord's condition, health was at the utmost of everybody's concern, and even if Johnny was just showing just a few signs of exhaustion or dehydration, they're like, hey, let's not push it. So that would have been my read on it, obviously. But
so they replaced Little Bones with Gord coming on stage and talking to the crowd for a couple minutes. If you remember
Get
that.
out of town.
Yeah, he was basically
Where has this been, guys? Where has this been?
Well, I will say, like, it wasn't like this long, drawn out speech or anything, but he came and he thanked the London crowd, and he said London's got a special place in his heart, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, damn!
I actually have a video of that entire thing where he says, the first time we played here, there was 9 of you, and the next time there were 16. And the next,
that's so classic.
And then he went on to tell this whole story. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So funny.
That's beautiful. Anything else about the set list you guys want to touch on?
I thought it was interesting, the placement of Grace 2. Grace 2 over the years was always the intro. I mean, that he would sprinkle in the odd new song maybe to open up a concert, but Grace 2 was always that staple opener, like for many years anyways. But I thought it was interesting that it was halfway through but I mean, it still rocked it. I mean, I love when that beat starts. It just sends you into a different world. But yeah, I found it interesting that it was halfway through the set.
Did you guys get an extended outro on So Hard Done By? Do you recall?
I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure it was on Daredevil, though.
Was it on Daredevil?
Yeah, I think, didn't they extend that, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
I'm a little fuzzy.
No, I mean, that's a very specific question I'm asking. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, that's a tough one. I just know they were doing that a little bit on the tour, where they would extend one outro and then blend it with a extended intro of one song or another. And I just wondered if they did that with the Foley with the Day for Night stuff, because they had done that one other time. But I don't remember when that was. This is the problem with having no memory. Okay. Yeah, around the table. Anything else jump out or that you want to discuss? And if not,
it just jumped out to me right now, and I'm real quick. I'm disappointed now that I'm looking at the set list that I didn't get to see anything from Trouble at the Hen House, Gift Shop, Springtime in Vienna, Ahead by a Century. Don't Wake Daddy. Oh my God! I mean, I would have loved to have seen those. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so many that they could have done that we just missed. So
I don't know that there would have been a better way to do it, though. Like, I really think that this was like so comprehensive, and it rewarded hip heads who were gonna go see more than one show. They would, like Dan had mentioned, they sort of get to collect and trade with their friends. Album experiences. Anybody else?
Guys, I was looking through my thing to find it, and I found it from Paul Langlois himself. So
cool.
He goes, ask me anything, I'll attempt to answer for a little bit. I go, how come during the last tour, if not the 2000s even, you never played anything off the first album? He responded, the first album, which we for some reason refer to as the baby record, just kind of made everyone feel funny and in not a great way. So don't know why we really, but likely because it wasn't recorded the same way as the next two, which was done by the great Don Smith. It felt more forced to us. So that's why. So that's why they didn't like to ever play any songs off of the first EP.
Throwing shade at Kenny Greer, producer of the Baby Blue record. Yeah.
Don Smith, he's the man.
Absolutely. Wade?
I just think with this set list, and I wonder if it had any correlation to helping Gordon his memory and stuff, like blocks of 4, practice, repeat.
Point, Wade.
Right? Like, okay, we're doing up to here, so let's get 4 songs, and we're just gonna repeat, recycle, repeat. Not recycle in terms of the concerts that were before or after, but like when we go to London, we're playing these 4, so memorize these 4, as opposed to changing it up or going 1 or 2. Because it may have. I'm not a doctor, but if you do all the albums, a song from all the albums, maybe that would mess with him a little bit, his memory, because he did obviously talk about having to train his brain. And so I don't know, that just something that stuck out to me is like they had a methodical way of laying this out.
Yeah, because there's no reason, and I wonder if your experience would have been different, Wade, if they took these same 28 songs and built a set list that's more traditional.
Right.
Like, I wonder if your experience would have been like more fulfilled,
So possible. Yeah.
I don't know, but it's a fascinating thing to think about. Yeah. All right, guys, I want to know, and we'll go around the table here again. I want to know, Wade, how long did you sit in your seat once the lights came up? Tell us about the end of it.
Yeah, you wanted him to come back for one more, right? I mean, Fiddler's Green was ended. He came out and said his thank yous and his goodbyes, and then you just kind of took it all in. The lights were on for the final time in London for the hip, and you look around and you see people smiling and arms around each other, and like I remember just kind of giving that like sideways smile to my wife, like we just got to see the most like historic cool thing in Canadian music and maybe music in general, but as a Canadian and hip fan, it was very like a surreal moment to see those lights come on. But yeah, it was neat to meet up after. Like I said, I had friends and family there, so we were all spread out. They all got their tickets, not like we didn't get them all at the same time. We were just lucky enough to be able to get tickets. So we were placed all throughout the arena, and to meet up after and kind of debrief about the whole thing was pretty cool. And you could see it almost like the energy. It took a lot out of us. It's like a 12-round boxing match almost, but we were coming out winners as we got to see them. So
beautiful.
Yeah, but I don't know, Dan and Dave, it was just cool. It was cool. It was like something you don't experience with other concerts, and I haven't since.
Right. I remember seeing video of like Victoria, BC, because that was the first shows. And then at the end, everyone cheering and Gord standing there. So you knew like, oh, he's going to get that kind of ovation at the end, or that's where you can like heap praise on him at the end. And so you were sort of also waiting for that moment for our tour too. So it was cool. Yeah, when the lights came up or at the end, where Gord took extra longer, obviously this whole tour, to say goodbye to people. And then you were like, okay, wow, the living wake. Now we're, you thought about it before, you didn't think about it during the show. And then right at the end, like, okay, this is weird. This might be the last time we get to see the Hip live, which is crazy. And at that time you thought maybe he's going to pull through and he's going to get cured or go through remission. So you were hoping for that too.
Totally.
You were hoping. So you always forget that during too, like, oh wait, hopefully he's gonna be fine because he's great now, so he should hopefully be good. So you're saying goodbye too. That's what I remember seeing just the online Victoria, BC good nights sort of that we got that too. Like, okay, now it's our turn and it's happening.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
Dave, what are your memories of getting out of the box?
Yeah. Well, we waited for the usher to come back with the wheelchair, but in the meantime, of course, we watched people file out. To me, again, it was still a very celebratory, kind of an atmosphere. At least from my perspective, we were, very happy to see what we just saw and experienced. And I mean, it really was one of the. I mean, I've seen all kinds of shows over the decades, and this probably sticks out as the one show that just stands above everything else. It was a living wake. It was a celebration of life, though, as well, and a celebration of this amazing music that these guys created for decades. And I just wouldn't have wanted to be anywhere else. It was a gift. It really was. It was a gift that I'll never, forget. It was amazing. So, but then we got out and made our way back to the hotel and kind of unwound and, then woke up the next day and made our way back to the States.
Wow. No rest for the wicked, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a hell of a drive too. I've driven to St.
Yeah.
Louis to go to the ballpark. Oof.
Oh, great. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Years ago. Dan, final thoughts on your experience August 8th, 2016 around the table. Dan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you were glad just seeing online the previous tour. I mean, tour stops. So you're like, okay, here comes our stop, London. And at that time, I did go to Hamilton and Kingston, but I didn't have those tickets yet. So I thought this might be my one and only shot because it's going to be impossible to get tickets. So I'm only getting one chance. And so London's going to be it. And it's a weird, I thought I'd be going to Hamilton or Toronto because I'm from Buffalo. So those are the two that are close. So, we're getting London. So we got to go a little bit out of the way to make this one happen because this might be our only stop. So luckily, That's a good thing. And I was in Chicago, so I was back, and I stayed an extra week to make sure to get this in. So I was like, nope, I have to stay here. I have to go to this show. I got to be part of this tour. So luckily I did that. And then once I got the other tickets, I guess I'm staying longer. So yeah, when I thought there was only one shot, this London was my one shot originally. So I had to make the most of it. So I was super glad I got to go. And I went with my brother, who I went to with my very first show, 20 something years earlier.
Oh, that's nice. Full circle.
Nice. Very nice.
Full circle for sure. Same question for you, Dave.
Remind the question again. I'm sorry. Just final thoughts on it.
Just final thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, especially being, from the middle of America, where we didn't get the hip to come here a whole lot, and I did have to go on many road trips over the years to go see them, Chicago, Detroit, Dallas, etc., and then not include, of course, London as well. But it was a gift. I wouldn't have missed it for anything, and even to this day, 10 years later, Gord still has a very profound effect on my life and informing me as a human being, and giving me a soundtrack to my life. And the hip still remains relevant, even though they haven't really created anything that, all that new, except releasing unreleased things here and there. They've remained a major musical force in my life since then. And it's just something that I'd never take for granted. And I will always be grateful for what Gord gave us, because he faced what he had to face, and he faced it head on. And he just gave everything he had until he left us. And to me, that has been a huge inspiration in my life, and some of the trials that I've had to go through since then myself. And I've looked back on some of his inspiration to help me through that as well. So I'm just eternally grateful for what this band's given me.
Oh man.
Love it, Dave. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's fucking great.
Yeah, great stuff.
It's like Dan was saying earlier, die before I'll quit, and if you think of the output that he released before he passed and then posthumously, he did 4 fucking records. I'm not including Secret Path, because even though it came out, they had recorded it years earlier. Wade, final thoughts.
Final thoughts from that concert. Well, you say the Secret Path. I was able to see him at the Hummingbird in Toronto for the Secret Path. That was wild. That was another emotional ride,
nice.
For sure.
Very nice.
That had a whole another level of emotion with the meaning behind it all, and the performance and the way he created that and the way it was performed was unbelievable. So super fortunate to get to see him for the final time in my life, do the Secret Path, which was wild. London, like I said, it was really neat to be able to have that in my backyard, to be able to have family and friends there. My brother introduced me to the hip, like I said, back in the 90s. He was a University of Western Ontario alumni here, and that's, again, back to the roots of London. This is where the hip played many small bars and clubs and places here in London, where he got to see them start out, basically. And I remember him bringing home one of the tapes when he came home for the weekend to do laundry and get fed by my parents, and as university students do. And I just remember him saying, "Hey, check this out." And so to be able to reflect on, he got me into the hip, and then that was his last time seeing the hip live, and I got to do it with him. It was pretty cool. He took me to my first hip show at Royal Oak. I was 17 years old. You had to be 21 and over. Him and his buddies and my now sister-in-law, girlfriend at the time of my brother, they brought me, and the bouncer was like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "He came from Canada. He's my brother. We'll take care of him." They're like, "We don't want to see this guy be on the show. Go in." So I was 17, got to see the hip for my first time with my brother and his buddies and my sister-in-law. as an underage in America. Love it, by the way. But yeah, to be able to end it off in London with my brother again, and my close friends that I toured another roadside attractions and the Edge Fests and all, from Pine Knob to Buffalo to Toronto and beyond. Those were my core hip buddies, and to be able to do it one last time in London was just something super special and surreal. I know you mentioned about what your thoughts were going away from the concert once the lights came on and whatnot. I do recall, and as Dan pointed out, he didn't have tickets. I didn't have tickets for the last show either, but I said to my buddy, we're not done. And we made a pact that we were going to go to Kingston that day, and we did without tickets. And there's a whole other story behind that. But
we had the same pact too. We're going to go, no tickets. Let's just go feel the vibe. And that's what we did too.
Yeah, and that's a whole other story because the vibe of that day and everything was unreal. But like you didn't want it to end, right? And you just start bringing back all these memories over decades. This wasn't one or two shows. This was decades of culture, Canadiana, storytelling. Like the hip, they knock it out of the park every single time, and they did it on this last tour when you didn't need to. They didn't need to. But he did it for us. He did it to put the closing chapter on everything. That the remarkable career of these guys is just, I don't know. After this, I'm gonna throw on one of the records and have a drink. And it's Tuesday, right? So this is interesting. Yeah. But tomorrow might be tough at work. But you've sparked my my need for diving into this again to finish off the night. So. Anyways, London was special for sure.
It is cathartic. Well, you guys are going to appreciate this next segment, I think, because the next segment is Dave in St. Louis. We're going to start with you because I know we've got a couple stories under our hats. Talk to me about what you did on August 20th, 2016.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Obviously we were back home by then, and we streamed it here in the St. Louis suburbs where I live, and over the YouTube channel. It was me and my girlfriend at the time and another close friend of mine who I kind of got into the hip. And then we just watched, the whole final show together. And I mean, for me, it was, super cathartic. I absolutely cried my eyes out at different times, and it was unbelievable. Yeah, I loved it, and I'm looking forward to, doing it again here in a week or two after on the, what was it, the 22nd? I think they're going to be rebroadcasting it on the CBC, and probably going to do it. Of course, I got it on DVD as well, so I don't have to do that, but I want to be part of that commemoration as well. So yeah, but absolutely that day. We watched it from here in St. Louis, and I wouldn't have missed it. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
It sure was. Dan?
Yeah, like I said, this is the longer story for probably both of us. Yeah, so I was in Chicago. I flew back in for, I think I flew back after London, came back after we got Hamilton tickets. So then I stayed for Hamilton and Kingston. So my brother, sister, and me, we three drove to Kingston, and we three plus another person went to our first hip show in Buffalo in 1995. So we three who went to their first show were going to the last show. For those that when we're trying to get tickets, Kingston, you can only get 2 tickets. You couldn't get 4. You could only get 2. So when we were driving there, I said, people think I can get tickets to everything, which I can't. I mean, but I do have pretty good luck with it. So you're talking about you're playing all the albums on the way to Kingston, and so we had a conversation where I said, "Hey, listen, if you think I'm getting tickets, I know we can only get 2, so there's 3 of us. Who's sitting out? And let's have that conversation now before in case it happens." And because it was on the CBC, my sister's like, "I'm totally fine to just sit. Hey, we got an Airbnb in Kingston." And so she said, I'll sit in the Airbnb if that happens, and then you two can go. And I'm like, great. We got an Airbnb. We went to Kingston the night before. We were in the whole square. We wanted to feel it out. We saw, okay, They're going to air it tomorrow. We'll probably be here watching tomorrow. And we went to a nice bar. And then that guy who has the Airbnb, he's like, hey, tomorrow there's a boat show in Kingston. So just walk down to the water and watch this boat show. So the morning of, I walked down and I looked at the boat show, but it was way too far out. And I was like, I can't see these boats. So I thought, what if I just walk to the venue right now? And it was like 9:30 in the morning. So I walked to the venue and it's about 9:45 and there's some people in line. And I jumped in line. I didn't even ask questions. Once I got in line, I go, what's this for? And the guy goes, I'm 27, you're 28. And he goes, the radio just said tickets are they're releasing 200 tickets at 10 a.m. And I got in line at 9:45. So let's say you were in Toronto and, hey, 10 a.m., and you have to go to the venue to get the tickets. I was already in Kingston, and so I was beating anybody who was driving there anyway. So I was 28th in line. I was guaranteed 2 tickets. I was, American phone. So like with roaming and data, it was weird. So we just turn off our phones. So I couldn't even text my brother and sister that I was getting the tickets. So 10 a.m. rolls up. I get 2 tickets and it says penalty box. So Dave, I was also in the penalty box. I was in the penalty box for Kingston, Ontario.
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I was in the penalty box for the last show. And they made 2 rows in the penalty box. And I remember I ran down and was like, yeah, 2 tickets. And they're like, no way, I can't believe it. The guy, the Airbnb guy, he was like watering his garden. And he's like, what? No, whoa. I didn't know there were tickets. Oh my gosh. So we all day, we knew we were going to the show. Like now, like we were going to go to the square that night. Like, nope. Now we know our plans for the next 8 hours. We're good to go. Yeah. Now we did go to the bar beforehand. They were playing hit videos on like Much Music or whatever the whole time. So we got to feel the whole vibe. And like a concert, now we got to go to the venue. They gave out free posters too. And I don't know if I still have the poster on my wall. They gave free posters out that night. So it's like that black 2016 Man Machine Poem Tour thing. So that was really good. So yeah, we got in. And if you watch, I'm actually in the documentary during the song Courage. So it's the one that it's a long time running. So they're playing Courage and I'm singing along to it because the whole night I was in the front row of this penalty box and the cameraman's walking up and down. The cameraman's walking up and down the whole time. I'm like, the guy's got a camera in my face every other minute. So I'm like, it's weird when you're on camera, like, okay, I gotta. So yeah. So I was like, I think I'm going to be on camera. I don't know. And then I'm in the all my friends were texting me, dude, you're in this documentary. So it's pretty cool that I'm documented being at the last show. So pretty cool. So that was my quicker Kingston story, but that's where I was. I was in the venue. Oh, and I saw Trudeau too. The Prime Minister Trudeau. He's Justin Trudeau. So I'm sitting there like, there's Justin Trudeau up there. So me and Justin Trudeau were in the same place. So great stuff.
That's awesome. That is a great story. I love that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wade from London, take us home, brother.
Yeah, I don't. That's amazing that you didn't have the stress that I had, Dan. But I'll try not to make it too long. But my ride or die hip friend, shout out Les. He's from the Windsor area, and we had made that pack after London that we were going to go to make the trip to Kingston and just see what we could come up with. If we didn't get tickets, we were in the square in the town, and we were going to enjoy the celebration that was unfolding in the town. Kingston's a great city, by the way. It's just amazing. So he comes to London quite early in the morning on that day, and we jump in my car and we truck it down the 401. We get to Kingston, pretty good time. There were thankfully no 401 delays like there are every weekend. But we made it pretty scot-free in terms of traffic. Got there, parked the car. You could feel the vibe in the town that day. Like there was just an energy. It was super surreal. All sorts of events going on. We had a friend who, again, grew up with in our hometown of Leamington. She was there visiting a friend who lives there. And they were at in the marina at the boats where, Dan, you were talking about the boat area. So I was one of the ones on the boat for a couple hours. We ended up meeting her there, and we had a drink and kind of just settled in to figure out our game plan about trying to get tickets. And we were just like, I don't know what we're going to do. Do we go to the arena? Do we go just walk around and see what scalpers are doing? That sort of thing. So we had a drink. We said our goodbyes because we didn't want to waste time. And we made our way through and around the town, and we weren't having any luck. There was no one offering up the ticket. It was obviously the hottest game in town. And so as the time went on, we were just like, this is unfortunate. Like, we're still going to enjoy our time when the lights come on for the last show, but it would be really fucking cool to be in that arena right now.
Yeah.
And so we
made a pact, for fuck's sake.
We made a pact, and we kept saying that. So we did not give up looking. I got a couple side stories I won't go into that are pretty funny, but it's probably about an hour before the show, and we're getting deflated because we have no tickets. And we had talked to some scalper earlier in the day who was just charging an exorbitant amount of money, and we're like, I can't. There's no way I can go home and tell my wife and my fairly young child that I just spent our trip money for next year on a ticket. But we kept that guy in our peripheral vision. Like, we watched him go around, and you could see he was starting to sweat a little bit because time was getting closer to the show, and I could tell he still had him. And we went up to him one last time. As Trudeau walks by us on the street, which was pretty neat. Whatever your political stance is, when the leader of your country walks by you in straight up Canadian tuxedo, it's pretty cool. He walks by us. We gather, me and my buddy, and we just kind of say, like, let's make our way to the center where they're going to have it on the big screen. I forget what the name of the town square is there, but
Springer Market Square.
Yes, thank you. So we start making our way, and this guy that we had bugged earlier on that was charging a lot for the tickets runs up behind us and gives us a tug on our shirt. And he's like, "Did you find tickets?" And we're like, "We're going the opposite way, buddy." Like, "No, we didn't get them." He goes, "Here, how about this price?" So we were like, we went even lower than what he had come back with us, and he said, "Fine, whatever." So, like, 11th hour,
Wow.
so we follow him to the booth, like, we're at the arena to get the tickets, and they're just these paper copies, and we give him the money, and they have this whole game plan. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are doing work behind the scenes. He wasn't the only one. I didn't care at that point. We get the tickets, the paper copy, and we're in the door as the show starts. So we don't have the same seats together though. We're like, see you later.
Okay.
Have a great time. We'll catch up later and enjoy the show. Gave each other a big hug and went on our way. So I ended up going. I was at the back, Dan, kind of where you were for the London show in Kingston. And I get in, and machine's going, and that's like, I'm by myself, and I'm taking this moment in, and I'm just like, well, I wish someone was with me right now, but I have 8,000, 7,500, or however many hip fans with me, so that's cool. And I got a nice picture from that seat. And then my buddy texts me. He's like, "Just come find me. I'll get you right beside me." He was literally to the back right of the stage, like 10 rows. So I make my way that way, and he gets me in right beside him for the rest of the show. And so I spent the show basically looking at the back corner of the stage, but I was like a stone throw away from there. And you know how that whole concert went. Like, he went and he kind of sang for everybody, right? And then Trudeau was like, 20 rows down around the corner from us, or 20 seats down around the corner. So we got to finish the show, finish the last time with the hip with my buddy together, and it was pretty emotional. It was just something I will never forget. It was wild. But so much more to that day that I don't want to waste the London podcast talking about it. But it was something like Dan said, it's just you can't write it any better the way they finished. Like, in terms of the situation, right? Like, They had their end game. They ended the way they wanted to end, given the circumstances. Most bands don't get to do that. They don't get to close the chapter. So wild.
No, out on their own terms, completely out on their own terms. Fucking wild.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening on this tour down memory lane. I would be remiss not to ask you if you have anything you want to plug, and it can be anything. A band that you're listening to right now, anything you would like. Dave in St. Louis.
I really don't have anything too particular to plug. I mean, I'm just glad to be back, here with you, JD. I love, talking about the hip and, where I'm from, other than a few close friends of mine and family, there's nobody here who knows about the hip except what I've told them. So anytime I get the chance to discuss these guys in depth and especially going down these amazing memories, and I love the memories you guys share too about both London and Kingston. Oh my God. It's just great. So I just, I really don't have anything to plug other than thank you for providing an outlet for folks like us to, express our feelings about such a great band.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Wade, anything you would like to plug tonight?
I'm going to echo Dave's words there. Thank you, JD, for the opportunity to be on here and actually get to meet Dan and Dave and yourself. And it's been a slight, I had a great time here doing this, and that outlet to continue, the hip story and what they meant to music and Canada and the States as well and across the world. Like it's great to have this conversation. It's pretty cool, Dave, that you're one of few in St. Louis that get to carry that torch for the hip. It's awesome. But yeah, in terms of plugging, I think we mentioned it at the very beginning, Grace 2 cover band for the hip. Friday, August 21st, which is my birthday. We'll be at London Music Hall. There are a few tickets left. They're going to do this entire set list from front to back in honor of the hip, in honor of Gord, in honor of that night 10 years ago. It's going to be incredible. They are an amazing cover band, so if you get the opportunity to see them, please do so. But that night is it's going to be special. I can't wait for it. Thank you again, JD.
You have another night to check them out as well, and that's October 17th, 2026 at the legendary Horseshoe Tavern. Grace 2 will be performing as part of Gedfest, which is the Gord Edgar Downey Fest. It's been running for 8 years. This is the 9th year. There's 12 chapters deep, so it's coast to coast, and there's an international chapter in Buffalo, Dan from Buffalo.
Nice.
So there will be a version of Gedfest run down there as well. So that's my plug. But Dan, I sort of cut you off there.
That's all right. I don't
your
care.
Plug?
Yeah, no real plug. I mean, I guess I'm on Threads. I'm Twitter's. Even I saw Paul Langlois. All the hip. Those guys used to be on Twitter. They're all off it now because it's not great anymore. So I'm on Threads, but it's okay. The Hipstory, that was great. Just to get to be part of the Hipstory. If we had like a whole Hipstory episode ourselves, I could rattle off 20 different stories from 20 different concerts, and it would piece it all together.
Oh, man.
But the end of the road obviously would be this, So you got 40, 50, 60 shows under your belt, and you could have a story for each one. And it's where, all roads lead to Kingston, Ontario at the very end. So great to be here. Nice time. Glad to talk about the hip. So good to be woven in the community even more now. So it's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. It means a great deal. And for those of you who are in the chat, that means a great deal too. And those listening on the podcast network, that's pretty fucking rad too. So there's that. People, pick up your shit.
Thanks for listening. This has been a presentation of the Tragically Hip podcast series. For more information and to follow us, visit home.tthpods.com. If you'd like to reach JD, send an email to jd@tthpods.com.
Said it's bright, didn't like it, sing